I met a Gypsy.
What was it like to have your parents? Like, did you know how much they were sacrificing at the time? Like, especially when you moved to... Because
when I moved to Europe, it sort of all sunk in. You get into that age, dude, like 14, 15, and like Dad's company was doing really, really well right up until like 09 when I started racing road bikes, and then GFC, everything like that. It all sort of made everything a lot harder, let's say. Right at the worst time.
But at that point, you've kind of gone all in almost, eh?
Yeah, well, that was it, dude. It was another mortgage on the house, everything up, you know, the beautiful family property that they worked their whole lives to get. Another mortgage on that. He had a beautiful big boat that he'd worked, again, his whole life to get. And, like, he got it. By the time it got built and everything got to Townsville, I think he got 100 hours on it, which is fuck all if you're talking a boat, because he had to drive it from Brisbane to Townsville and then back again.
Like fucking 20 hours.
I think we had like 130 hours on it in a year, which is zero. That's nothing. Because he was constantly traveling around with me, and like that was his dream boat. He dreamt about that, and then he sold it for me to go racing. Sold remortgaged the house, sold so many toys to... All of his cool shit that he worked his whole life to get, sort of sold it for me to go racing. So I was very, very fortunate.
Do you remember when it sunk in? Like, do you ever remember like thinking about it?
I remember it to this day, being in Jerez, and like I was always like a chubby sort of kid, like not fat, but I always had just that muffin top, you know, a little bit. Especially like, but Hayden's mum, like we used to always go to either Hayden's mum, or if my mum wasn't home, we'd go over to my house and deep fry a heap of shit up. Like I get the deep fryer out, and me and Petty would be down in the deep freeze looking for shit to deep fry. And then like we were burning off, but I was always a little bit chubbier, let's say, and I never really did too much training. I'd cycle to school or whatever, which was quite a way. It was like 11k there, 11k home.
That's a decent cycle.
Not bad for like, you know, a 12, 13-year-old. I was like, yeah, I'll go cycle to school. But Mum loved it because then she wouldn't have to deal with me and my sister arguing in the car over who got the front seat. But
I fucking shotgunned it.
In Jerez, I remember he's like, get out of the fucking motorhome and go and run a lap, or I don't know if it was like go run or go cycle. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then he come back, and like probably an hour later, I'm still fucking laid up there on the couch, whatever. And then he's like, fucking get out of this motorhome. You'll go and do this. So I fucking sold everything. This was like the second round, and like going over there, you always know you're going to go shit. But I struggled. Like we got the bikes out of customs the Thursday night. I hadn't ridden since October the year before. This is February, mid-February.
So would this have been your second year over there, or
first
the first year?
First year.
Yeah.
We sent the bikes over, and he's like, he goes to me, sorry, we got the bikes out of customs the night before the first race. I hadn't ridden in like 3-4 months, and with that I had barely any experience, but I qualified for the Junior World Championship, which it is now, the Spanish Championship.
Yeah. Qualified,
was going all right in the race, ran in the gravel, come back on track, still finished the race not bad, like not great, not in the points, nothing like that, but was a massive achievement because a lot of Australians went over there and they weren't even qualifying, and I was on a stock bike. When I say stock bike, it was a piece of shit. I talked to like guys like Alex Rins and Alex Marquez and stuff like that, and they were like, you wouldn't know, that bike was so shit. They were just two standard Hondas from Australian Championship that we took over there. But my dad was
from back then.
Yeah, I had no teeth, dude. They couldn't forget it. We talk about it. Was it you who lost your teeth? We were talking about this the other day, and it's like, so yeah. When I first went over there, back to the story anyway. We were in Jerez, and like results aren't ideal. Let's say there was a couple other Aussies over there, and they were doing a little better than me, but they were also better equipment. But my dad's thing was like, you'll ride a piece of shit and you will learn how to ride it properly, and then we'll get a decent bike. But when I believe you're riding this thing to its full potential,
and when you're going to fucking run and train.
Yeah, exactly. So he lost it. And that was like the one day it sort of sunk in, like, right, shit's got serious here. I got to actually start doing something now. Like, actually, like, because up until then I'd always been quite talented, let's say. I never really had to work. And kids, you know, that's what kids do. I think if your parents are too sort of like knuckling down on you at too young of an age, it's never going to work. Yeah, you're going to rebel against that. No one wants to be told what to do. You want to have to do it. You want to do it because you're going to get better. And then it wasn't so much he did it was just because he saw the other kids out there doing it. He's like, fucking get out on the track and have a run around or do something.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favourite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.